Hey Taurus, this is your January Capricorn season reading. Before we get started, I've been having a little bit of electrical issues with my new light here, so if we have issues, I might just keep going, just so you know that this might turn out or on and off. Also, I just got a treatment done, so my face looks a little burnt almost today, or you just might see more redness than normal. See? That's normal. It's okay. Just letting you know. So excuse me. Also, I want to let you know that I did this full reading and had a lot of insight into the second reading, or the second part of the reading, and I did it and I worked through the light issue, and it was about this fluidity and working with yourself. And I still want to influence, I want that, not to influence, I want that to be involved in the reading, but I also learned some more things and got some more insights yesterday, and I feel like I'm leaning into that side of the journey more, and that's where I have done this before, especially with you, and you know this, and I think that's why we're talking about it today, because here you are, and you're just getting super clear on what your creative process is, whether it's throughout your life or process in your life, if you're not necessarily a creative, and you're also, for some of you, making the decisions to get even deeper into a certain subject or a certain specific area in your life. And also my cats are playing, so if you hear anything, that's them playing. And you want to, of course, make the right decision. You want to commit to whatever that is for you. And you're really feeling into the part of you, excuse me, hold on one second. You're feeling into the part of you, and you feel that everyone else really needs or asks for that advice, that clarity that you give. You now have to find that space for yourself, and through this you need to work with, this month will be showing you this fluidity of living in your world, and then also living in your world, that internal world where you need to, or you will have to, you'll be faced to make decisions about and which clears up a lot of things, especially if it has to do with like long-term longevity, right? So Taurus, if for those of you that are Taurus risings too, you'll be finding that it really will be about shaping your identity, because this decision does shape your identity, whether you care or not. Like, you care about that. That's something that's very physical, that makes you gives you your shape. It gives you each person, right? It gives them shape. Do you ever meet someone where you can tell that they're very open. They can care less if you go this way or that way, but they, that's who they are, or they're just not, they haven't grown into themselves. So there's a few different ways that I think some of us humans show up here, right? But you're getting very clear on what it is that your identity is right now, what that looks like for you. And you may notice that, and I was just talking about this with another Taurus, which is funny, with a Taurus sun, that you may feel like people are really drawn to confess to you almost right now. People are drawn to you and yet you're having this huge moment and breakthrough with yourself. So there may be a lot of you who this clears up a lot of things where people may feel like they want to tell you the truth this month, and what people don't realize is that you're just not going to hold back, because this Tower moment doesn't just come out of nowhere. When things like that arise because of major decisions, or what was once small a few years ago is now asking you about your future. And Capricorn season, if it doesn't do anything else, it ignites feelings within the body, which is, very earthly, that allow you to understand what it is that you are bringing you towards your future, what is allowing you to grow in a certain way. So yes, very presently you're in the body, but most of the time that connects to what's happening next, where this is going next. And the Tower moment, although bigger than this Five of Wands, or it can appear that way, right? A lot is falling off. Meaning you may care less, very like an extreme less amount of something that you find that you used to care about. That things that you can tell that don't feel as important. And this is something interesting that I didn't know what this was called. And this is totally your energy. And I think what you're growing into right now is that, and what I guess I should say we are growing into right now is, I heard a therapist talk about well, there's this vibe therapists get. It's like you can tell so clearly, and I think this goes beyond therapists, really. This is definitely that Hierophant vibe, that no bullshit vibe. This is about you being able to just see through. It's almost like if someone's not being authentic because that's what you are, that's where you're at, right? So then that becomes very clearly, if that's something that becomes very clearly defined, you may draw people towards you who are not, or you may notice or see and have a different perspective and have that shift happen with people you might even know. So it's like this feeling where they're not being authentic, so you almost don't have you feel so neutral, like you have no reaction. It's like, it's not that you've been trained for this, but you've been trained for this. Because, well, it's just messy. For what? This is just clearing up anything. This Tower moment is clearing up this reverse Five of Wands, like where you thought was where problems needed solving. It was just drama that needed you to maybe take out a different perspective. And now that you can sense that, it's become a lot more obvious to you, especially the more that you feel like you're enjoying this process in your life. There's this influence. It's funny because we have one major arcana. We have a lot of major arcana. So you have this Hierophant is also, and then we have the Sun, which is related to Leo. I just connected something before and when I was going to say something. So we have two fixed signs, Earth and Fire. And the Fire, I was just going to say, is that you are putting more of that faith, which becomes less of air, less of a belief, and more of a fire, maybe even electricity, when you add emotion, when you add real, really putting faith into action, right? There's this electricity that can happen. There's this effect that happens, and you can hear people talk about it, is that when you have so much more faith in something and in a direction, because you are committing, right? It exposes you to whatever you need to then, we talked about this in the original reading too. I'm just obviously letting things come up intuitively, is that you're being prepared, right? You're being prepared for that next step. The next step is coming. You're being prepared for it. The Sun is exposing it, which is also good because you no longer feel the need to say, certain things. This is a lot of action, right? There are things you will say, but there's a lot of action here, and there's a lot of being in your life. This is an experience because Jupiter is also transiting in Taurus right now, and we'll talk more about that in the second part. And here we talked about the electrical. Look at all that coming back into play. Also be very wary that if your enjoyment is while you're doing your life and going about this, it's so night and day. There's an extremity that does happen, and it's important that we look at the fact that any risk worth taking, any courageous act, whether it is to feel, whether it is to decide, whether it is to shift, this is an energy shift. You're moving into something else. Therefore, things that will no longer support that will naturally come out of your life, or challenge you, or resist you, or force. There will be force. There will be, or just like, I feel like there's this like slothing off where it's like you just don't care as much as you once did about other things. And you may feel like your actions really are speaking louder than words. There's this truth that you are noticing being absorbed in your body. Maybe your nervous system going through this change, it's like a psyche change, right? It's a spiritual yet physical change. You may need to absorb it for a moment, especially for your Taurus risings with Aries in the 12th right now. If that is your chart setup, Aries is one of the signs that happened in the nodal shift where the eclipses are falling. So just know that you may feel extroverted to an extent, but you also will feel like you need to contemplate and connect, which is somewhat of a risk, because when maybe it's possible that when you felt like this before, you felt the need to be extremely extroverted, talk about it, whatever. But right now you're, in a way, just let yourself be in it, is what it's saying. Here's the thing. I was wondering, what's this Three of Pentacles in reverse? What's the Fool? What is, show us more, give us a little more. For a lot of you, what taking a risk, having courage with your actions and how you want to move forward in your life is going to do for you is help you avoid any distractions, any place in which you have been hidden to within yourself. Because what this step is going to take, or what it looks like it's going to ignite for you, is this ability to see how this is the medicine. The action is the medicine right now. You know how much you've learned. This is a lot of cards, so I'm honestly going to put them back. And we're just going to do a reshuffle real quick. Okay, we'll take this many. There's still a lot of cards, but we'll still take it. What you realize through this process, as good as it feels, as freeing as it may feel, especially wherever you felt like your body has held you back from moving forward because maybe your nervous system had to change. This is that Tower moment, the sun, a lot of electricity. This is a moment in your life where you get to see how taking action heals and allows your body. And that could be just being disciplined to a movement practice. This doesn't have to be you're moving states, you're moving continents, you're ending a relationship. For some of you, that may be true, or you're ending a perspective. It could be a huge shift, and it looks extremely huge, and I never want to downplay, but for some people, a huge shift is moving your body more often than not. And I do want to acknowledge that, because what this is also saying is that through that, you can transmute grief. We have a lot in Capricorn right now, which very much supports healing psychically and physically. That whatever presently is showing up is triggering, perhaps, or allowing your body to take notice of what it is that you need to clear up for what's coming and what's ahead. The axis, the eclipses are in this sign. There are decisions you are making also based off of that, and you may not realize that until hindsight, right? You may be basing certain changes, and also this is about maybe just this decision and how it's playing out and what you're responsible for. There may be a moment for some of you. Hello, baby. Sorry, he's being very needy at this moment. I know. You're gonna eat soon. Don't worry. I love you. What's fair? What you find fair. That's the amount of energy you can put into all of these different avenues right now. There also is a major sign of independence here, and you actually may enjoy this independence from the group moment. You may feel very inspired to take maybe more responsibility in your life and you may find that it will help you recognize that in order to, what this action may lead you to is where you take responsibility for where you've been maybe unattached to your own sense of self because of whatever this grievance is, whatever it is that you haven't looked at in a while. It's causes some suffering to reveal itself. And you may also find that you want to take on even more responsibility at work, or you may be asked to. And it's a really serious question to see, like, if that's something you can handle at this time too. Like, that's a very important question to ask yourself, because that responsibility will cause you to weigh out some other things differently. What I'm seeing, it could also avoid any problems, or I think taking on this responsibility could in return help you take accountability for the next steps you're taking. It's almost like doing that allows you to stay in a neutral place with certain things and to be a little less attached, because you know that there's still more to come, that there's still more that's evolving from this place, but you have opportunities for the skills that you've acquired, and you'll be offered these opportunities, and you'll find that it's after maybe this healing. Because what I really want to emphasize is that what seems most important is the healing that you're going through, and anything that comes after that through what's been brought up through the tower moment and this exposure of the sun and this enjoyment that you have actually doing things on your own or taking charge in a way that feels like you're not just doing it because you're adding more to your plate, but it's actually going to help you get clear what you want on that plate. That fluidity, and I'm really glad we did this today. I am excited to get into the next part. There's a lot of cards out here, but these shifts and eclipses, we'll get more into that, like what Jupiter has in store, because the expansion, right? So the sun, just a tidbit, we get into like the body too, if it comes out naturally. Sometimes I do forget to add it in, but the sun relates to Leo, and Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sun rules the back and the heart, and Leo's rules the heart. So this expansion in your heart. So this cardiovascular, we talked a little bit about that yesterday. This expansion, this contraction and expansion that you have with your body. So if you are doing that movement practice, letting yourself notice your breath, letting yourself feel that expansion, feeling the change happen as you progress, right? whether it's within your voice, your actions, or your workout, your physical body, or that's all connecting to your faith, to going back to that Hierophant. That's what's going to help balance out as you alchemize these feelings into any skill that you have, while at the same time addressing and allowing, right? That's very powerful. It's very Taurian. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. And for the Taurus rising, this is a lot about your identity shift, and we'll get into that into the next part. Again, all links are below. Give it about 24 hours or 48. Yeah. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next month, Taurus, or in the second part.